The righteous may fall 7 times, but they will rise again. I love the word. It says, "O my enemy, do not rejoice over me. Though I fall, yet I will rise." Come on, it's not about when you fall. Don't settle for staying there. Adam and Eve fell, and what did they do? They hid themselves from God. They created clothing and they hid. Don't make the same mistake as Adam and Eve. Do what the prodigal son did. When he left home, when he rejected his father, and when he found himself in sin and misery, he thought to himself, "I'll go back to my father's house. Maybe at least he'll make me a servant." But when the father sees him afar off, it's the father that runs to him. It's the father that receives him back, and he says, "No, we're going to kill the fatted calf, get a robe and get a ring and put it on him, because my son who is lost has come back home." This is what God is waiting for you, for you in your life. He's longing for you to come home. To come home. Dorothy said there's no place like home. And it's true. There's no place like home. There's no place I'd rather be. God's presence is always available to us. A star shall come out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. And it will batter the brow of Moab, and it will destroy all the sons of Tumulent. This was God's prophetic word over Israel. And Israel at this time they were not in a place of prosperity. They were not in a place of peace. They were in the wilderness, and they're trying to get to the promised land, but they're ruining the process the entire way there. But God still is faithful, and He ultimately brings them into the promised land. But Balaam stands to prophesy against the people of God, and all he can do is begin to prophesy for them. And I believe this is the prophetic word over your life this morning, that there have been words against you. But God's going to turn those words that were meant for harm, He's going to turn them into good. God's going to make your worst day your best day. Come on, how can God do that? I don't know, but He does. When Jesus died on the cross, He declared, "Behold, I make all things new." All things become new. And what the enemy meant for evil, God can always turn it to the good. Come on, God wants to restore your life. The enemy wants to destroy it. And how does God restore it? He takes those things that were broken and He brings them back together again, and He makes them better than they were before. Jeremiah declared, "I went down to the potter's house, and he watched the potter form the pot." And it says, "And the pot was marred in the potter's hand, so the potter made it again another." He didn't make it again. He made it again another. It was the same pot, but He made it better than it was before. And that's what God wants to do with your life. It's what He wants to do with my life. He wants to take our ashes and trade them in for beauty. He wants to take the mistakes of our life and turn them into trophies. That though I failed over here, now God has caused me to succeed, and He's brought victory into my life. And that failure actually becomes something that we can look at as a moment of triumph in God. Come on, are you hearing what I'm saying? This is what God wants to do. This is what God is doing. And if you'll step into it, God will do it for you. Come on, God doesn't just work all things to the good of everybody. God works all things to the good of those that serve Him and are called according to His purpose. So you can look at your life and you can say, "Well, I've got this mess over here. I've got this mistake over here. I've got this failure. God, why don't you do something?" And God's looking back at you and saying, "I already did something. It was Jesus. Now I need you to partner with Jesus. Step into the life of Jesus, and then I can change your life."